people are curious to know what UNECA stands for.
Good afternoon, everyone. Did you have a good lunch?
Yeah.
No?
You did.
Yes,
You did.
Oh, good. Food is amazing. Thank you. Allowing me. Okay, UNECA, United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. That's what it stands for. Okay, thank you for this opportunity to proceed with what I have for you today. It's under the session that says opportunities for the youth, and UNECA or UNECA is also involved on digital transformation related projects and initiatives that focuses on the youth. So let me just start what I have prepared. Sorry, you caught me off guard. Okay. Dear all invited participants, I would like to first start by welcoming you all of you to the 2022 African Youth IGF, and pass my gratitude to the energetic organizers for putting together this amazing day and taking us through the day, because I'm enjoying it. It's my first IGF session, and I'm very
First time is.
yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, we're many then. Are you enjoying it like me? Okay, good. Okay. So the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa is one of the host members of the African Internet Governance Forum, Secretariat for the past almost 10 years. Is honored to play a key role in enhancing Africa's internet management discussions that is inclusive of the youth, and has so far continued to play a key role, and also to build youth capacity development initiatives to bridge the wide digital gap that is in our continent and the digital divide. We're also promoting the mainstreaming of ICTs in United States, mainstreaming of gender, and the entry of youth into the digital technology industry and connectivity. Does anyone here know about the Connected African Initiative, Girls Initiative? Just three. Three. And my team. Okay, so talking about the opportunities for the youth, I would like to enlighten the room about this initiative. It was launched by UNECA. It's called Connected African Girls. It's a series of coding camps. It's hybrid. And it's one of the interventions that provides opportunity targeting African young women and girls particularly within the age group of 12 to 25 years. So in collaboration with partners and stakeholders and the Ministry of ICTs in member states, more than 10,000 were reached since 2022 for ICT-focused technical and soft skills trainings, eventually leading to a community or alumni members enabled and inspired in the STEM sector. So noting it was only launched in 2020, around 170 innovative projects were showcased by these young coders who were gathered in a 7-day tailored workshop. They take trainings for 5 days for rotational classes in robotics, IoT, computational thinking, design thinking, and then we organize innovation fairs at the end of each bootcamp, and they showcase their ideas, projects that are focused on solving socio-economic issues within our continent. And 178 innovative projects were showcased by these young coders from 4 coding camps that were organized in Ethiopia, Senegal, Guinea, and Cameroon. So among this 170 innovative projects, 40 girls were recognized for their outstanding socio-economic issues, solving innovative ideas and projects. And to oversee this, the sustainability of this initiative and upcoming youth-focused technology innovation efforts such as incubation programs and women-led startups, UNECA is currently initiating a dedicated online platform that involves all actors, involved actors and interested actors that can benefit from the online community we'll have a one-stop knowledge to provide e-learning features for the programs or contents of the training that I mentioned earlier. And it will also provide networking opportunities for the peers to interact among themselves, to come up with collaborative efforts, and also the peers to network among trainers and role models and also investors. So as part of this efforts, ECA has also supported young women from the Coding Camp and Connectivity initiatives to participate in this forum and have the opportunity to join the IGF agenda and share their experience as well as interact with you all and influence recommendations. We're very proud of them. So, yeah.
Sponsored fellows, you want to stand? I mean, ECA sponsored fellows, you want to stand? Let's appreciate ECA. Thank you.
And Catherine, yes. India was one of the winners from the Ethiopia Coding Camp. We should clap for her. And Catherine is also working on an amazing project in line with the UN SDGs. It's called, she founded an NGO working on connectivity issues for rural areas in Tanzania called African Child Project, so we should applaud her for that. So this is all about Connected African Girls Initiative. So before I close this remark, I would like to point out that UNCA to mapping the opportunities that transform the role of youth in digital work widely recognizes the challenge and assures to engage initiatives that reduce the barriers for Africa's digital transformation ownership of modern tools for internet governance. So I called on all of the youths today present, which were not aware of the initiative, but now you all are aware of it. So I call you to become the ambassadors of this initiative and spread the word, because ECA would like to train 100,000 young girls by the year 2025. And I believe you all can be part of this. Thank you so much. And finally, I say together and connected, we will make a difference. Thank you.
Indeed. No, just before you go, I appreciate you, but don't leave just yet. So we've heard about amazing initiatives. How do people get signed up? How can people join the initiative at the time when they open the coding competitions, at the time when the social competitions are also open? How can people be a part of it?
Okay, so the concept is to, upon request of member states, we organize this coding camps in those requested countries. So yeah, it will be promoted once we started or initiate the process of organizing a coding camp, which we are now doing also for Namibia, where it will take place in mid-August. It will be both physical for 100 girls, and online participants can join anyone in the continent that is interested in ICT, innovation, and so on, can join online and take those lessons. So probably my colleague Harry can promote the link, the registration link to the maybe at the end. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how people get to it. So for the physical one, of course, the Ministry of Education and Ministry of ICTs will select the girls in the regions and in the city where the coding camp takes place. But online, people can register and take the course.
Thank you so much. We'll be happy to project the link onto the screen. And just as a pointer for James, she mentioned that upon member country request, they're able to organize. You want to investigate, and who knows, you can have a coding competition here. I saw Chanel's hand up. Do you have a question quickly? I'll take it for her, and then we'll move to Mr. Bob from ICANN, and then to other parts of the session. This is getting so exciting. You don't want to miss out.
Hi, such a pleasure meeting you here. I'm Shamila Hossein from Botswana, and I'm here wearing two hats, one as the Youth IGF Coordinator for Southern Africa, but then again, as the ESG Manager for a mining company in Botswana. So I think the question that I wanted to raise is, a company like Premium Nickel Resources in rural mining towns, how would we collaborate? I know you mentioned member states request, but is there a way in which we could work with you to promote this initiative obviously with a PPP model, perhaps maybe initiated by private sector.
So, aside from the companies, partners, enterprises, businesses partner with you?
Yes, we don't only work with ministries. The private sectors are more than welcome, and from previous coding camps, private sectors have involved as much as UNECE and partners because nothing can be done without collaboration with private sectors interested and invested in this sector. So yes, any private sector interested to support this initiative is welcome.
Thank you so much, Bata. A round of applause for Bata. We'll move on to Icon now. Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We have Mr. Bob here from ICANN, so the floor is yours. We also want to hear about opportunities from ICANN. We've had a couple of people talk about their experience. Okay, the student plan. Hi, sir. I see you coming up here, and this microphone is for you in as well. And we mentioned earlier on that the older folks would be happy to share with us something about cybersecurity because it's been so much at the center of what we're discussing today. So I'm going to hand over the microphone to you, sir. Let's clap for him as he comes. So we have a cybersecurity experts coming to speak to us briefly about cybersecurity. A couple of us have mentioned it in our submissions, and I see that we put him on a hot chase and run. Forgive us for that, but we appreciate your time here. So I'm going to hand over the microphone to you and sit right by you for a submission.
Okay, thank you so much. Welcome everyone to this particular short session. My name is Dr. Martin Koyabe. I work for the AU GSD project, and I can see the friend of mine at the back, the geographer, who is joining me as well shortly. So, how many of you are actually doing what you do at the back? As in when you have a child, you say you want to be a doctor. How many of you are doing exactly what happened when you're here? All right, so we are together. Plan 1 failed. We are on plan 2. Is that correct? It is plan 2, isn't it? So let me try and guide you shortly on how plan 2 might work if you want to venture into cybersecurity. So I'll just give you 6 points that you can take home, you can put at the back of your notebook, and it will help you on cybersecurity. I told you to put my contacts at the back, so probably shortly my contacts are there. You can take a phone and we can discuss. I think that's the kind of thing you guys want. Yeah. Okay, so in short, the first thing that you need to do is to understand policies, regulation, and the way the system works. So first of all, you have to understand what are the policies in your country, what sort of regulations are in place, especially in the telecom sector and ICT. That's very important. You also have to understand what are the key documents in your country. For example, whether you have a strategy, a national strategy would be useful, cybersecurity, that's important. So you have to read through those documents. You have to understand what the documents talk about. That is a very good starting point. So never assume that the documents that are by the government are just there for the sake of it, but you need to go through them. And once you've understood that, it is also important to understand how law works. What sort of legal frameworks exists in your country that will guide you to understand the cybersecurity system? Whatever policy, if there is a cybersecurity law, you should understand that. If there is a data protection and privacy law, you need to understand that. If there are specific initiatives that are taking place in your country on issues of data protection, on issues on cyber protection, on child online protection, that's important to understand. So that is the key. It's very important to understand the legislative process, what's going on within Parliament, and how they are arguing those particular points. So that's important as advocates. And then the third issue is to also look at whether your country has what we call critical information or critical infrastructure protection framework. Do you know what are the critical infrastructures for your country? That's important. Countries do vary, so you might find that in some countries they take specific things to be critical, or infrastructures to be critical. Things like, for example, the transport. So if you look at roads, if you look at air in terms of the radar systems, if you look at traffic lights, those are critical infrastructures. So if you look at, for example, your energy, electricity grid, that's important. Does your country have a framework for those infrastructures? That's important. So therefore, you have to understand the background to it. And understand also the terminology. What do they mean by critical information infrastructure?
No, no, no. So African.
What do they mean by critical infrastructure? You have to understand. Those are basics of things that you need to understand, you need to learn so that you understand how critical infrastructure is important. Think about it this way. If you're in a hospital, power goes off. Does that hospital have a generator to start and offer power to that hospital? And even if you have a generator, does it have enough fuel to be able to run in order to produce that? So there is interdependency when it comes to critical infrastructure. There is also what we call the complexity of critical infrastructure. So you have to understand in depth. Okay? And then the other issue is the issue around, in general, what sort of capacity initiatives are going on in your country? Cyber capacity initiatives. What sort of awareness programs are going on? If you are in Malawi, which I've been many times, talk to Macro. Macro should be able to say, these are the programs that we have, this is the awareness programs that are coming up. Make sure that you attend to the awareness program because it gives you an idea of what the stakeholders are doing when it comes to issues. And you yourself, you can be able to query and say, does it give you enough information to learn? There's cyber hygiene awareness, there's cyber for schools, and so forth. These are programs that are tailored to make sure that they create that awareness. There's also the outreach program. How you go out to the public to make sure that the public understand that. And then the other issue, just before we finish, is the issue that links with curriculum. Schools, tertiary colleges, do they have any syllabus or courses on cyber? Someone is asking, if I want to do cybersecurity, what courses do I need? There are some prerequisite courses that you need to have at the back of the line. I told you plan 1 failed. There are so many people who are on plan 6. So plan 1 failed, of course. So if you need arts or if you need any of the non-science subjects, you can still become someone in cyber. Okay? Even if you're doing diplomacy, you can still become a cyber teacher. So there are opportunities that you can take advantage of in cyber. It doesn't matter your background, you only have to have a sound mind, an analytical mind, a very ambitious mind as well, but at the same time, be very humble and be very, careful in terms of what your choices are and how you go about choosing your career path. So that's important. So the issue about awareness, the issue about the extensiveness in terms of skills building, going to school and so forth, and what's happening within the secondary schools is important. And then last but not least are issues to do with the standards. You've got to understand what standards are. So talk about the cybersecurity standards, talk about any of the protection measures that are there, whether online or outside, you have to be aware of those particular areas as well. And then lastly, of course, cybersecurity can't be complete without the component of the funding. So you also have to understand how do you fund some of these particular processes. If you or somebody wants to build a career in cybersecurity, you've got to understand exactly how the funding is channeled. Who are the people who actually pay for this particular service? And then you yourself, wherever you sit, you can actually say, okay, we need to make sure that the funding is done in this particular way, you can be able to provide ideas. So one of the opportunities that are out there before I finish is that you've got to make sure that you as practitioners, or you as someone who wants to come into cybersecurity as a practitioner, you should be able to understand where problems are. And some of these problems start from us as an individual. So that's where the weakest point is. You remember, from time to time, we used to hear this issue about if you left your luggage and things at the airport, what happens? Yeah? They destroy it, right? So that's exactly how we are tuned at a personal level to take care of our property. 10 years ago, if you said that, if you left your luggage and attended anywhere, it would be stolen. Most of it. So the question is how you consciously come out and become more or less cyber experts, and how you consciously reflect on the consequences of cyber. So with those few remarks, it gives you sort of like a tentative outline of what you need to understand. That's my contact. You can always get in touch with me at any other point. We can talk about other areas and specialties, how you can go about it. I've worked with a number of very good special people in Malawi here, and I'll talk about Malawi because we're in Malawi. And we've built a cybersecurity strategy. It took us years, and I'm sure there's so many people here who I should thank. But the point is that I'm really happy we have this idea here, and you've got these energetic people around here, and any other time I'll be here until Friday and during Saturday. So if you want to get in touch with me, that's the contact. We'll be in touch. Once again, I really want to thank you for your
I don't have the
attention.
young
Sorry
man's
we didn't have
contact.
a lot
If you
of
can
much
give him
to
this.
talk because of time, but I hope that helps you in terms of navigating through stuff. Don't worry, if plan A didn't work, there's always time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. That is what we call wisdom, and it is important. Lily, we have so many more surprises. Yeah, could you please introduce our next expert speaker?
Absolutely. So you just heard about cybersecurity from the national perspective, from looking at policies, looking at strategies, that is by way of document, going through the laws, standards, and all of that. We want to hear from somebody from the AU Cybersecurity Expert Group. And if you've been in sessions where he's spoken, you will know that there's depth of wisdom, just like Mr. Malcolm has shared with us. I want to welcome with a round of applause Dr. Hakim Achijola. Please, a hand of applause for him. Also to contribute in the conversation with cybersecurity.
Thank you. I'm actually not a doctor. I'm a doctor by proxy. My wife and my oldest daughter are doctors, so I think I'm by proxy. Okay, it's very difficult to follow Martin, but I'll do my best. So let's start with talking about money. How do we save money in Malawi? Watch out, but what's the term? Narami. So let's talk about Narami. The African internet market by 2025 is expected to hit $180 billion US. Africa currently has about 1.3 billion people. This is a market. There's an opportunity here. By 2050, the IFC, International Finance Corporation, projects that this market, or the money, is going to hit 712 billion. I don't know how many batches that is, but it's more than your pocket money, I assure you. And our population will probably hit about 2.5 billion. So, how many of us have mobile phones? Can you just hold them up, not your hands? Let's just make sure you have them. Yeah, you know you might be. Okay. This is a resource. This is a resource. So, in Africa, when an elder, if I may classify myself as such, asks you a question 3 times. The first time, who? The second time, who? And of course, the third time, who? Who is going to protect the digital Africa? So who is the digital African? Can we hold up our phones? Let's see if there are any digital Africans in this room. If you like, you can even hold up your laptop. Just hold it up for us, the laptop. That's a real digital African. But it's not just them. So, sir, have you ever patronized the roadside food vendor? What do you call them? What does she sell?
Maybe beans.
Maize, maybe bean curd, fried bean curd. What do they use these days? They have phones. They may receive alerts from the bank. They may be unable to transfer money. They are now the digital African. So, let me ask you, do any of you know of any children? They might not be yours yet. Maybe they are your sisters or brothers, nieces or nephews, neighbors' children, in the range of about 5 to 15. Do you know some children like that? Have you ever tried doing them with a phone or tablet? What do they do? They do wonderful things. So, this begs the question, who's going to teach them how to be safe? That is a business alone. Think about it. Just to build on what Martin has said. You don't need a PhD. You don't need a PhD to teach a 7-year-old to be safe online as a business. It's not just about bits and bytes. There's a whole plethora. You mentioned cyber diplomats. Africa is in need of a generation of cyber diplomats. Why? Right now, as we talk at international fora, norms are being developed. Indeed, the United Nations has already published 11 norms. So what is a norm? A norm is a soft law. It's voluntary. But as we've seen in the laws of the sea, or norms of the ocean, norms of outer space, you name it, norms in nuclear proliferation, over time they evolve into hard international law, which you must obey. Now, many of you probably didn't study history, but for those of you who did, in 1884, there was a conference in Berlin, the Great Berlin Conference. Some Europeans with a couple of Americans and a few others sat down and decided Africa. That is why Malawi has the borders it has, Kenya has the borders it has, Nigeria has the borders it has, why some tribes are split. But more importantly, they decided on your legal systems, your laws, your norms. Your great-great-great-grandparents were not at that table. They had no input. Africa must be at the table for this development. And it's too late, with due respect to Martin and I. It is you that have to be at the table. So, let's go back to money, purchase, and cybersecurity. In 2020, the African cybersecurity market alone was valued at $0.95 billion. By 2025, it's estimated to be between 3.6 and $4.5 billion. Again, that's a lot of cash, right? So, in the next 10 to 15 years, the African, I didn't say global, Africa cybersecurity solutions market is going to hit anywhere from 15 to $30 billion US. And for those of us who are the lawyers amongst us, I put it to you, what piece of that action is going to be yours? What piece of that action will be for your country, will be for Malawi, will be for Kenya? What piece of that action will government be able to get from you as taxes? What jobs can we create? What wealth can we generate? Again, not for Martin, but for you. So that's part of the reason that we're very anxious to speak to you, because this is the opportunity before you. It is lovely that UNECA is initiating something. ECA or no ECA, with due respect, you better get up and get in it, because it's an opportunity. When I was growing up, it wasn't there. So it's there for you. You take it or leave it. As a country, as a nation, Malawi, you have to ask your government. You're going to have to get into cybersecurity anyway. But is it going to be a foreign exchange gain? Or is it going to be a foreign exchange drain? Now, ISC Squared is one of those international organizations that does studies in cyber. As of 2020, they found that the global vacancies for cyber experts was over 2.1 million vacancies. That's a job. Those of you who study economics probably know when there aren't enough of A or product, the price goes up. So it's an opportunity. I come from Nigeria, and very, very sadly, a lot of our youth die, I mean dead, die crossing the desert to try and reach Europe. I know a lot of Malawians have trouble to get into South Africa. They die crossing the Mediterranean. And what happens when we get to Europe, or even when you get to South Africa? You become a permanent underclass. But if you have the skills and capacity, one of my younger colleagues is your age, Matthias. He came to me, say, okay, that's like boss. Say, Deloitte in London has given him a job. He did pen testing and all that. Oh, congratulations, oh, but he's leaving in August. He's gone. They're flying him and his wife. They're paying for the first month. In fact, apart from saying bye-bye, safe journey, I said be careful, you know, an apartment in London is not cheap, so you might want to live a little further out of town, but with an easy commute. That's the opportunity. So instead of dying crossing the desert, dying crossing the Mediterranean, and becoming a permanent underclass, can we build our capacity so that we are flown business class and we become a respected diaspora? As a respected diaspora, we can do many things. We send home remittances. Nigeria, for example, is known, I'm sure, for its oil. Do you know that we receive more money from remittances than from our crude? But remittances are irrelevant. They are big, immediate money. They help you build the house in your village, look after your mommy and your daddy. Beautiful. But that's not the kicker. If you decide to come back home, what happens? You come back with capacity. But more importantly, you come back with relationships. If any of you in this room sends a letter with a great idea to any venture capitalist anywhere in the world, America, England, you name it, what happens? Letter, Africa, shredder. But if they've worked with you for a few years, they say, oh, I know that person. They're not bad. Let's give it a chance to think about. That's what you come home with. Potential investment, foreign direct investment. This is the power that you have. And this is what I would encourage you to look at. But even more importantly than that, can we encourage our government to create an enabling environment for you at home? What's the nearest town to belong with? Please tell me. Bonea. Pardon? Bonea. Bonea. Sorry, I can't pronounce it. Bonea. Bo. Give me an easier one. Do. Doha. Can you forgive me, Doha? Can you work in Doha with your intellect, with good connectivity, earn dollars and euros, and spend fortune? That's an opportunity. That's what we need to be looking at. So I would encourage us to think and work in this direction. I would also like to let you know that cybersecurity for me, although I'm not sure you necessarily would agree, is a bit of a misnomer. It's not about security. You know, when you think of security, you think of guys with dark goggles, dark suits, white socks and black shoes, and maybe a gun hidden somewhere. No, that's not cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is about risk management. As Nico Hyperlink says, we are no longer protecting computers, we are protecting society. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Doc. Thank you, Mr. Martin. You know, what's happening online on my phone? People are asking, who are they? That is amazing. People people are asking, who are they? This is how people are excited about the conversation and excited to connect with all of those. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the time. And then I think my colleague Hakim and I are going to be here for some time. So if there are any queries, please feel free to get in touch with us. But thank you so much.
Let's do a big warm up. Big warm up for both of them. Let's go.
Amazing. Thank you guys. Aren't you energized already? We'll be hearing about cybersecurity, but just has just a different dimension. Don't you think so? If you think so, let me see my hand. Don't you think this submission of cybersecurity gives you exactly? I'm seeing the hands. Thank you so much. We are open on to another opportunity. That's your breakout rooms, and Anya closes us all because we love to hear from here. So who's coming next quickly?
We would like to welcome Mr. Bob Ocheng from ICANN.
ICANN. You heard about ICANN a lot, Mr. Bob. The floor is yours. I want to hear about the opportunities ICANN has for us also. And in about 5 minutes, they will go to the breakout rooms, and then you get also to do the talking, the roundup with Anya. Then we'll call it a day. Probably we'll dance. Who knows? Who wants to dance? Yeah, amazing. Right.
Should we start with the dance?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's sit. Let's stand. Okay. 5 minutes, isn't it? 5 minutes. Starting now. Good afternoon. Is it morning? Is it? It's a few years since I was youth. How many youth are in the room?
We are you. Even if you are youth at heart.
How many are young at heart? Yeah, so nowadays I stick to young at heart so that I remain in the group, isn't it? I don't want to left the group. I'll be very quick. I'm sure you've heard about ICANN with the double N, and I hope you've heard good things. My name is Bob Ocheng. I'm based out of Nairobi. I'm in charge of engagement in Africa. And I have colleagues that work with me, based in other parts of Africa as well. So my task today, after, I think you've had a lot of discussions this morning. I'm not sure what you haven't been told and what you have already been told. At the risk of repeating myself, it would be a bit difficult to know, what exactly to talk to you about. But I've been invited to speak about opportunities for engagement for youth. I would say at ICANN, but also in the internet ecosystem, broadly. So how do I do that? I have to start with the internet itself, because that is the basis of this meeting today, why you are here and why we are here, and probably why ICANN becomes important in the whole discussion. So I'm sure along the way, since morning, you have defined or you agreed on what this thing called the internet is. So that when I say the internet, we are talking about the same thing. I believe that was agreed, isn't it? And part of the argument was probably who then is in charge of that internet. Did we also agree about that? Did we identify that person or that entity or that country that is in charge on the internet? Or maybe I put it differently. How many are online or have been online today? Okay. If you came in and since morning up to now, there was no internet, how many would still be here? How many of you? So if that happened, who would be the first person to blame if you walked in and there was no internet? Typically, who do you think about first while there's no internet? Can I have a round of random, responses? Yes?
The organizers.
So, the secretariat, okay?
I think might be the network providers.
The network providers.
I emphasize the S because probably there are many, isn't it? Any other person? There is no internet. Who is to blame?
ESCOM. ESCOM.
ESCOM. Do you know what ESCOM is? Oh, electricity. Electricity. Oh, so electricity is also important. Did you know about that? Yes. Over here. There is no internet. Oh, this doesn't work.
So if we don't have internet, I think we need to blame many entities, not only one, since there are many entities running the internet. There is not only ICANN.